Hello and a very warm welcome to this special year-end edition of the Tuesday Checklist, the show where we take it in turns to sit under a spotlight and have our opinions laughed at. It's good to be back. And this week we're talking about our most important opinions of all, that is, our individual games of the year for 2020. What an unforgettable 12 months it's been for PlayStation. First up to recount their favourite video game part of it is me. Go me.
Whoa, it's weird, isn't it?
It is, it's really
strange.
weird. Right.
So
So, my game of the year for 2020 is a game I have chosen with my heart.
Have you forgotten what it is?
No,
It's a game I'm going to say very shortly.
I will say it. Here it comes. It's Final Fantasy VII Remake. Which
I
come as a
shocked.
surprise to probably no one that it's Final Fantasy VII Remake. And there have been some incredible games this year. I'm sure you'll hear about 4 more of them in due course. But for me, as soon as it came out, it was around, I think it was early April that it came out, and I just knew there was just going to be nothing that could better this for me. Because Final Fantasy VII, the original, is my favourite game of all time. And I was a mix of very excited but also quite nervous about Final Fantasy VII Remake coming out because it was a thing so close to my heart. And you know, you're thinking, oh, please be good, please be good, please be good, please be good. And they just nailed everything about it. And I've said this multiple times on the channel, but when you're playing the original Final Fantasy VII, you build up this sort of picture of it in your mind because it's, you know, there's no voice acting in it. So much of it is filled in with your own imagination, like the characters' voices, sort of their relationships with each other. You sort of imagine them as characters in a novel and you build up this own picture of them in your mind. And Final Fantasy VII Remake managed to nail it so much, so unbelievably well. Like, I was thinking, how can I describe to you, Dave, how good I think Final Fantasy VII Remake is? And it's, imagine if someone remade the original Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah. No, thank you.
But they did it so well. They did it amazingly
Did
well.
they?
Like, they nailed all the characters, like all the characters were exactly, and it made you feel, imagine it made you feel exactly as it made you feel when you were a kid first watching.
again.
No, exactly, yeah. And it was a feeling I thought, you know, I'm not going to feel that excited about it. You know, I'm an adult now. That kind of childlike excitement about things
To all
is,
young viewers watching, beware
is
adults.
behind me now. But it really did, like, it was utterly joyous. The way they'd sort of reimagined iconic scenes from the original game and made them so modern, so epic. The way the music is absolutely
so good.
insane. The way they've weaved multiple scores from various bits of music from the original game, sort of merged them together, created this and made it incredibly orchestral and epic, and everything about it was amazing. Just on a nuts and bolts kind of level as well, the combat system. I think Square Enix has been trying for some time now to find like a sweet spot between real time, because, you know, it's 2020 now. Everyone goes real time now. All the RPGs doing real time, but still having that sort of RPG depth that fans of the original are gonna love and appreciate. And they absolutely just hit it on the head. It's such an exciting battle system, but full of so many little tweaks. Like the materia system, amazing. Just, I'm trying to think of a word that isn't amazing. It's just a really good story. Like, that was one of the main reasons I love Final Fantasy VII so much. It's just so riveting, and that story again, you know, reimagined in the modern age. It was just great again. I really hope that I hope you play it, Dave. I hope you play it, Nath. Just
Not you,
just
Yeah, it doesn't matter if
You
I
wouldn't get it. Okay,
Just-
you wouldn't get it.
yeah.
I'm new here, I get it.
But yeah, if you've never played the original, just give it a go. Like, it's a great timeless story. The characters are so, you're never going to get a better group of characters than Final Fantasy. Cloud is amazing. Sephiroth is amazing.
Barrett.
Tifa, Aerith, Barrett, the whole lot of them. The Turks, Rufus. Oh, it's so good. The set pieces are so good. And
Even Johnny.
Johnny, actually, no. I'm glad you brought up Johnny there.
Gotta bring up Johnny.
I'm glad you brought up Johnny there. And yeah, there was another thing I was going to say about it that I was hoping I would remember by the time I finished that sentence, and
Is it that it's amazing?
No. And I've forgotten what it is.
Giant fighting chickens?
Chocobo?
Yeah, I don't know. There's big animals that come and do big fight. Crazy. That's what I remember.
The big fighting chickens, yeah.
There
it is.
All the difficult to sell angles.
But yeah, also I mean, you know, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who's not played it, but it isn't exactly the same as the original, and that has been a bit divisive. But I am definitely in the, oh my god, I'm so on board with this camp. Like, I honestly can't wait to see where they go with the forthcoming games, whatever shape they take. Like, just do it, Square Enix. I think they've earned the right to just do and go in whatever direction they want with the future of that series. So good.
Well, Square Enix weren't sure, but now we've got it from Rob said.
Yeah, do it. We can do it.
Rob said we can do it, guys.
You have my permission, Square Enix.
Ash's first Tuesday checklist. Hi. So messing up.
So, my game of 2020 is, of course, The Last of Us Part 2. Incredible, wonderful, amazing game that it is. It was probably the worst gaming experience I've ever had. And I say that with such love and care. It was truly the most harrowing, emotionally tearing, upsetting thing I've ever made myself sit through. And I loved every minute of it. It was incredible. It is incredible. I love it. I love it. It's the game of 2020. My experience of The Last of Us Part 2, I feel like kind of shapes this whole why it is my game of the year, because as soon as it released, I did not leave my living room for about 72 hours. Like, I started it on the Friday night, I got in and I was like, right, that's it, it's going on, it's happening, we're gonna play The Last of Us Part 2, go on the Friday night, and then sat there until it was finished. Like, there was a break for sleeping, and I got to about a 25-hour save, and I finished it at the end, and I think it was about 8 o'clock in the evening. I sat there and just cried until I went to sleep in the evening. I just lay there going, like, because all of the emotions of the game hadn't really hit me until I got to that last moment, that last bit, and it all just like came awash over me, and I was like, oh my god, it's beautiful, it's horrible, the human condition is a disease, it's not the zombies. It was, oh my god, it was an experience. I took a picture of myself crying halfway through because I was like, this is content. Because I was laughing at how big my emotions were, but also crying. You know, when you have just one of those emotional moments, you're like, I didn't know how to process anything after this game, but it's so good. The story elements, coming to this, I played the original The Last of Us quite late, I feel. I came to it a little bit later than everything else, so it was quite fresh in my mind to play The Last of Us Part 2, so I was really excited for it to come out. I was really ready for it, wanted to see Ellie and Joel's story, and obviously that plays out a lot differently to what people were expecting beforehand. So things change, things get real, and then halfway through, obviously you get a different perspective with Abby as well. And my journey through this, my journey through Ellie's feelings, through, Dina, I love you, and through Jesse, through Joel, obviously, and then coming to Abby at the end of it all when she's kind of affected the story. I'm trying to like keep this as spoiler-free as possible because I want people to play. If you haven't played The Last of Us Part 2, you need to play The Last of Us Part 2. It's incredible. It is an experience. It is my emotional scar to bear. And there's just so many facets of it that are completely and wholly satisfying in a completely upsetting way. Like, when I say it's my worst gaming experience, I mean that so emphatically, but also it's true, but in a good way. It's nothing has affected me in gaming like this game has. It's stayed with me. I think about it often. The Rat King, which if you watched the Halloween trick or treat streams, you got a little peek of, is my favorite like gaming monster just ever. I love him. I love everything. I don't know what to say about this any more than it's amazing. I love it, which I feel like is the vibe of this whole video. It's incredible. I just have so many feelings for and about it. The combat is so satisfying. The setting is so beautiful. There's animations for everything. It's glorious to be in this horrible, horrible, nasty world where people are horrible and nasty, but there's these shining sparks of like humanity and goodness in there that you have to dig for and fight for, and when you get them, they are so satisfying and wholesome, and just, Ellie playing the guitar, like, I could shed a tear. I could, just thinking about it, like, Ellie playing the guitar, Abby growing, learning, just all of it. It's so good. It's a narrative experience more than it is a game, and it's an incredible game as well. It's just everything. It is everything. It's so good. It's so good.
So you're going to finish it, Dave?
Yeah, I am.
Please!
I know, but I fear what Ash is talking about as well.
Oh yeah, it will hurt you.
Like
it will
you,
hurt you
Ash.
Can you
deeply.
take a selfie of you in balls of tears?
Yeah, another one for the collection. Yeah, like you, Ash, I didn't want to. I hid away before it came out because I didn't want to know anything at all.
Yeah.
And was completely unprepared, ill-prepared, and then I've stopped midway through, and I want to go back so badly, but I'm also so terrified of going back.
See, I don't know if my emotional, the thing that happened to me would be so intense if I hadn't have ploughed it all into one weekend, but I wouldn't want to experience it any other way, like having it all in one go, being like, oh my God, here it all is, here is the story. I literally lived it, because obviously it plays out in days, and it's quite they're quite chunky sections of going through things as they would happen before it skips ahead to a different point in the day. So I was like, I've lived it. I am Ellie. I am Abby. These are the things I have done for the past few days. So, how's your weekend? Oh my God, I fought off so many clickers. But it was real. It was me. That's all I can say about it is so good. It is the worst thing I've ever had happen to me, and I would do it 500 times over because it's just a story of the ages. It's incredible.
My game of the year for 2020 is Demon's Souls. Surprising
Surprise.
nobody, because I just said it accidentally before we started rolling, not least. But I think even then it wouldn't have been a surprise because I'm
a glutton for punishment.
I'm a glutton for, well, it's the sort of game that I enjoy anyway. It's a series which I have returned to over the years, and as a remake, it really does something. I don't know. It's like a whole new generation thing. I didn't really know what I wanted from PlayStation 5. I wanted newer, bigger everything, because that's what you want when you get a new bit of hardware. What Demon's Souls did was reconnected. I think I'm just going through we can call it a midlife crisis. I'm going through a certain
What happens
phase
when you're past midlife?
I don't know. It's just a crisis. An end of life crisis, where I'm returning to things which I enjoyed when I was younger. I've been talking to Rob about this. Rob and I both grew up reading, fantasy fiction, which is it has to be this thick at least. If it doesn't have 800 pages in it, why am I even bothering? And I've gone back and I've started reading Dragonbone Chair, a series called Memory, Thorn and Sorrow. Surprised that it wasn't as awful as I thought it might be. So I'm living in this, and obviously Christmas is coming up for us here. I don't know when everybody's going to be watching this.
You could have dressed for the occasion.
Well, I know. Yeah, there's no giveaways. And there is a new version of Lord of the Rings which is being released. So naturally, I have to buy that, and I'm going to watch that. And I'm just sinking back into these things. I'm just enjoying these things which I've always enjoyed, and just allowing myself to just be a fan of stuff. And I love fantasy worlds. I love big, imposing castles and medieval places to explore. And Demon's Souls was always that. But it was, like the PS3, on PS3, obviously looked like a PS3 game, and it was murky and scarier somehow. And I splurged on a big new TV for PlayStation 5. And let me tell you, my home now is in that, talking about the midlife crisis ticks are just piling up here. So I spent an enormous amount of money on a luxury purchase, and now my room is a shrine to something that used to be, the past. And so I sit at home now with, and Demon's Souls looks amazing. I can see every brick in the Bolitarian, is it a palace or a castle? I don't know either, I should pay more attention. It's just fantastic. It's a return to, it is the newest thing I own and have, but it's like a return to this thing that I've always loved. And it's massively indulgent, and that's exactly what I wanted from a launch title on a new piece of hardware. And it's the most fun I've had all year. I just love being a fan of something and just throwing myself into it and enjoying it. It's
Have
great.
you tried the 3D audio as well?
No, not all together with the TV.
It'd be too overwhelming.
Yeah, I might never
Dragon,
come
the
back.
dragon
Rob.
sounded the drakes. Are they drakes or dragons?
You can say either. Right, either's fine here. It's a
The
safe space.
dragons are amazing. The dragons sound amazing on the audio. I'm sure you had it on Lord's Path when you hear it swooping over.
Yeah. So I've done both. So I played it with headphones on my old TV, and I've played it with the TV sound on the new TV. But when I put them together, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But it was that section on the Lord's Path that really made me go I'm just, we play a lot of games for work, and a lot of experiences, you rush through them or whatever. And I was playing the game and just, trying to get a feel for it. And I stopped at that point when you're in the underpath, and there's a hole after you kill the dogs, and then you look out, and there's a hole in the path, and you can kind of see over the rest of Boletaria. And now you can really see it. They can do distance now.
Get your little telescope out.
I did. Yeah. And that's as you know, that's how
For
it.
people at home who didn't know what that meant.
You needn't have said it. So.
Oh, an eyeglass. Oh, God.
And I just thought, wow, it's just like this promise of just exploring this place. Oh, it was amazing.
Who's ready for my game of 2020?
am.
You are.
We am.
Everyone hopefully is. Don't skip my entry, please.
We planned that.
But my game of 2020 has been one. I mean, obviously, I completely 100% agree with Rob with Final Fantasy VII Remake, because that was just an absolutely phenomenal game in every way. But I'm also thinking of a game that when I played it, I sat there and I just kept on saying, I love this game. Like, literally, I would sometimes stop and I'd just be like, I love this game. I genuinely did. And that game was Yakuza Like a Dragon, which I did not think I would love as much as I do. So I was very excited for this title to come out because you might remember, but back on April, I think it was either April in 2020 or 2019, I can't remember, but they did like a big April Fool's Day joke.
I can't remember which April it was. Okay.
But the studio did a big April Fool's Day joke when they were like, oh God, guys, imagine if Yakuza was an RPG, and everyone was like, oh, that's so funny. Oh, imagine if they did that. But at the same time, it looks brilliant. And then later on down the road, they came out and said, okay, well, it was a joke, but now we're actually doing it. And it was completely like, because obviously Yakuza's it's famous for having really good combat, which is really satisfying and really awesome. And you can do like Yakuza 0, you can do beatbox dancing, however the cool kids do it, and you can like attack enemies, and it's great. But coming at it from an RPG approach, I was like, okay, how is the studio who, I'm not sure if they've done RPGs in the past. I think this might have been their first attempt, but I was like, how are they going to pull it off? And honestly, now it's become one of my favorite RPGs ever. There is just so much to it. Leveling up is so satisfying, because not only can you level up your character, but you've also got like individual jobs that they can have. So if I put it in like Final Fantasy terms, let's say you've got Cloud, you all know he's got a big sword and stuff, and he's got certain attacks. Well, what if I told you he could be a baker? And when he's a baker, he has a whole different palette of attacks, which you can then level up again.
Palette as well!
Oh my God.
He has then even more attacks that he can do.
I bet he makes a lot of dough.
Hey!
Big yen.
Big yen back in the house. Just call my new bakery Big Yen Dough. So yeah, you've got like that element to it. So and also just the characters are fantastic in it. I love the party in the game. I mean, I'm 30 hours into it. I think I'm on like chapter 6 because I'm just doing like so many things in the game, like in the world, sometimes other than the main story. And I just love the whole party. You can bond with them at the bar, so you just have like a heart-to-heart, talk to them about their problems, and then the more that you bond with them, then they do different actions in fights, and also they get more leveled up when you complete fights. The weapons you use are so creative, funny, and brilliant. The main thing I love about Yakuza is kind of like the characters. I mean, you've got Kiryu in the previous Yakuza games, and he's a fantastic protagonist. I've already expressed many times on how much I love him and how he's one of my boyfriends in gaming. And now, so the first thing I was like, okay, Ichiban, let's see what I'm excited to see what this character's
Is he
like.
on the list?
I love Ichiban. This man is just, I love him as well. I adore. And even like his party, like,
a lot of love to give.
I've got a lot of love to give with these characters, and like not only that as well, I've got to talk about everything. But because the game is so big, it's not just an RPG, but there are side quests, there are mini games you can do. You can do like you can go do karaoke, which is a standard for Yakuza, I feel, nowadays. You can go to the cinema and play a mini game when you have to knock out sheep in your dream because you don't want to fall asleep in the cinema. You can go dragon kart racing, which is just a little kart racer. Collect cans, which is all like, who would be like, oh, I'm going to collect cans. It's so much fun to ride around on a bike and collect cans. And there's just so, and also like with Ichiban himself, he's got personality traits. So depending on your choices and how you respond to things, you kind of level up in different personality. Like you can have passion, charisma, style, and depending on that also shows, like it unlocks different areas you can visit. And there are tests you can do to upgrade these, and the tests are really tough. And it's also got this brilliant thing. It knows it's replicating an RPG. Like for example, the characters know that Ichiban's trying to be a hero. So for example, there's one moment when they're applying for jobs, and they say, well, we're not going to get any herbs if we don't have any money to heal ourselves, are we? And I was just like, oh, they made a herb reference. They know they're an RPG.
Smash that fourth wall.
Smashing it. And there are labyrinths you can go to, which are like dungeons where you can't save unless you're in a specific spot, but you just go on like these massive battle quests fighting things, and it's so unbelievably good. It's just got the same humor and heartwarming stories and funny stories that Yakuza has in the whole series, and it has a completely different twist. So it's got a completely different twist of it, but it still feels like a Yakuza game, and it's just surprised me on how much it's blown me away, and that's why it's my game of 2020.
I feel like you're more surprised than anybody else.
Right, listen up, because I'm talking now. It's my time. It's me, I get to talk about my game of the year, which is amazing, and which surprised me and many of the faces I see before me, which is the rest of the Access team. And it is, of course, it didn't surprise me actually, but anyway, it's Astro's Playroom.
A worthy winner.
It's so good. Yes, Rosie, exactly. I love Astro's Playroom. I love it so much. You guys know I love it so much, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway for around 5 minutes. It's pure joy. In fact, that is the main takeaway from Astro's Playroom. Is it's just pure joy. During a difficult year, joy has been quite the currency, and I found bundles of it in Astro's Playroom. It's so much fun. It is just good. Like, it is just nice. Everything about it is just positive. There's no hurting anybody in it. There's no like hoarding anything in it. You know, like, it's so forgiving. If you die, you just go back to a checkpoint. You don't lose all your stuff. You don't, lose anything. There are no missable trophies. I got the platinum in it. This is big for me. And it comes with your PS5. Like, it's insane. And I know that there's a lot of people out there very desperate to play it. And there's also a lot of people out there who I think are going to just disregard it straight away because they want to play something else. And I strongly advise that you give it a go. Like, give it a go as soon as you get your hands on your PS5. It's just pure joy. It's constructed to show off the DualSense, and like, it does that. Like, I've talked before about how excited I was for the DualSense, and I just had no idea. Like, I had no idea how good it could be. I thought it would be nice, a new thing, a cool new thing, and it's like mind-blowing. Like, every time I play a game now on PS5, I'm like, what are they going to do with the DualSense? Because of Astro's Playroom, because every little thing in there has a feeling. Like, you can feel when he's skating, you can feel when he's running on sand, you can feel when he's pulling something, when he gets hit, when he hits something. You can know what it feels like to like fly through the air on his little laser legs. Like, everything they have translated somehow into a feeling that goes in through your hands. It's like your connection to the game. It's insanely clever. It's insanely good. And as I say, like, now, just every time I pick up a game, I'm really excited to see what they've done with the DualSense. And it's just because of how good I know it can be because of Astro's Playroom. The very first thing I played on PS5. It's nuts. And I haven't even spoken about how amazing its love of PlayStation is. Like, you know how much the developers loved making the game. They poured so much heart into it, and on top of that, they obviously are huge PlayStation nerds, and they have like sought high and low to stuff as much kind of PlayStation lore and love and history into this game as physically possible. So much that it makes you explore. It's a game you could probably finish quite quickly in a couple of hours if you just went through. But if you have any interest in PlayStation whatsoever, I challenge you to do that on your first go, because it's impossible. Because as soon as you spy like Kratos bot with, in his boat, like, instantly had to go and see. And then when you realise that if you hit those little scenes that they do things, you're like, I've got to hit every scene now. I have to find every scene.
What was your favourite one?
I think I really liked Pyramid Head, which is weird because I haven't played any of the Silent Hill games, and obviously I don't really like horror games, so it was a weird one. But like, seeing that clash of universes, like cute little bots and Pyramid Head, was amazing. I thought The Last of Us was fantastic. I actually really loved Eco. That one's just really nice, and they're just so great. And then Yeah, where they're hiding behind the door. It's so good. And also then, they've made hardware cool somehow. Like, you collect hardware. Like, just old bits of PlayStation peripherals and stuff. And then you can go and look at it. And somehow that's great. I found myself climbing all over like a PS4 just to see it up close and to see what it was like. It's absolutely astounding. That game, it just made me feel so happy. And I played it for so much more time than like you would think you could have fun with it. It's just brilliant, and I will continue to, because I must defeat you all at the speedrun.
Impossible.
I will do it, Ash. No. I will destroy you.
High and dry, that's my score.
Has anyone beaten my mountain run score?
No, we don't talk about that one. I was going to say, maybe not the score. No, we don't talk about that one. We don't talk about that one.
Cut, quick, cut. This is not, no, it's gone wrong. It's gone wrong. Game of the year, okay. And yeah, I will. No, I will. I'll get some high scores. I'll get back to second in the world, everyone.
I was waiting for that to drop. I was going to say about speed running.
I don't like to talk about it, Ash. Game of the year, Rob, and that's of course why you platinumed it ages ago. No.
Shut up.
Oh, I don't have to explain myself to you, Dave. To the commenters maybe, but I'll deal with that later. Let us know in the comments your pick for Game of the Year 2020. Give us a like if you enjoyed seeing the Tuesday checklist back on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you're always up to date with all our videos on everything PlayStation. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you again soon.
PlayStation